Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 5 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let the record reflect that Director Snyder is absent and Director Roberts is on his way. He's just a little late. Approval of the agenda. Mr. Bartz, are there any changes to the agenda?
The only change we will have is to move the update on the new building right after the second public hearing.
Okay. All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda with changes?
I'll make the motion with changes.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to public comment. Are there any members of the public here that have public comment? No. And any members online? No, I don't see any. All right. So moving on to B, community reports. It looks like we have Victor online. How are you this evening?
Great, thank you guys for having me. I was actually just here to give a brief legislative update regarding some of the work that the senator's doing in other bills that passed through in Sacramento. So on the Assembly side, we have AB 665, which is sponsored by Assembly Member Carrillo. This would eliminate the requirement for a minor to be a harm to themselves or others or the victim of child abuse before they can consent to residential shelter services. It is on the Senate, it's been referred to the Senate floor for third reading, and that means that likely upon return from summer recess, they will be voting on that in the Senate. AB 853, which pertains to retail grocery stores and retail drugstores, would require that the Attorney General be provided with a 180-day notice of the merger of acquisition for a grocery store or drug retail chain. That's been referred to the Senate Judiciary Committee. And then lastly is SB 770. That would direct the Secretary of the California Health and Human Services Agency to pursue waiver discussions with the federal government with the objective of a unified healthcare financing system, otherwise known as single payer. That has been referred, that actually passed today in the Assembly Appropriations Committee and has been referred to what we call the suspense file. They'll determine, depending upon the cost, if it's worthwhile for them to move it on or not, pass the bill. So that's the status of that. The senator also has three bills, SB 89, that is would expand the crime of stalking to include threats or reasonable fear of injury to a pet of any sort, service animal. That is a 2-year bill and will be heard probably next year in the Assembly Public Safety Committee. SB 240, which is surplus, it would authorize local agencies or nonprofits to purchase surplus real estate land, and it would even have be able to be exempt from CEQA requirements. That has been referred to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. And lastly is SB 246. It would add a representative from the State Council on Development of Disabilities to the California Interagency Council on Homelessness. That has been referred to the Assembly Appropriations Committee and placed on suspense file. So if anybody ever has any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to our office. We are more than happy to assist. Have a great night.
Thank you very much. All right. There's one new phone number on there.
Yes, phone number ending 0246. Do you have a public comment?
No? Okay, thank you. All right, so we will move on to item 3, consent items. Does anyone have an item that they would like to pull? No? All right. Is there a motion?
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of the motion to approve the consent item, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, the motion passes. There were no matters removed. So we will move to agenda item 6A. public hearing on standby and availability fees for 2023-2024. All right. I declare the public hearing on water standby and availability fees now open at 5:06 PM. May we have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, at this time, I would like to report the district received 0 written protests, objections, or comments relating to the water standby and availability fees.
Thank you. May we please have the attorney's report, Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam President. On May 10th, 2023, Board of Directors adopted Resolution 2023-11 initiating proceedings to fix, levy, and collect water standby assessments for the fiscal year 2023-2024, and the hearing date was scheduled for July 12, 2023, on June 22nd, June 29, and June 6, 2023. Additionally, notice of public hearing was posted in the district office and on the district's website beginning on June 22, 2023. Copies of the report were made available in the district office for public review. The district has complied with all of the legal requirements necessary for this hearing within the time and manner specified under California law.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The water standby charge report reflects each parcel of land within the district's boundaries for acreage within 660 feet of a water line. The preliminary water standby charge report was filed with the Secretary on June 30th, 2023. The updated report details 3,569 parcels for a total assessment of $283,419.10. This amount may change as parcels connect to the system before the final report is filed with the county by the August 2023 deadline.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we will open the public hearing for public comment. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, thank you. All right, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right, the hearing is closed at 5:08 PM. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yes,
Ma'am? Hi, I didn't realize I thought I unmuted it hitting the pound stick, so I apologize for taking up time in your hearing. We received a hearing notice that if we had any information in regards to an issue we have ongoing with the water company at this time, it appears that both of our attorneys are working out stipulations on the agreement for a settlement agreement. And I sent an email to Ms. Savvy this afternoon when I first got it. I mean, that's the first I've seen of the settlement agreement. And to let her know that we will be transferring funds for the settlement agreement to our attorney, and that you may want to contact your attorney, Mr. Kennedy, prior to pursuing any actions against our account, being that we do pay our monthly account of water usage outside of this settlement agreement in a timely manner. So I tried to get this to your meeting before you guys had it, but nobody's been able to take my call. So I don't know if that email received Ms. Debbie on time, which was what was directed in the hearing notice we got in the mail.
Yes. Hi, good evening, Mrs. Twill. This is Don Bartz, the general manager. We've been working with that, the document and the attorneys today. I know Steve Kennedy was in touch with your attorney, and therefore they were just directed to deal with that, and that you could deal with. Oh, pardon me,
Mr. Bartz, if I may. Right now, we're on the standby charge, and the item that I believe Ms. Twill is speaking to is to the next item. So my suggestion was that we move forward with the standby charge, and then when we get to the delinquent liens and that particular issue, then we can discuss that item. But right now, the agenda item is for the standby charge, not for this particular item.
okay, thank you.
Not for the whole meeting.
Say it again?
This is not to close the whole meeting. This is just for that
No.
section of.
Correct.
No, it's just closing this.
And I apologize for interrupting.
No problem. Thank you very much. All right, so we will move on to 6B, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2023-18, establishing water standby and availability fees for 2023-2024. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you, Madam President. Staff's recommendation is for the board to adopt resolution number 2023-18, establishing standby and availability fees for 23 and 2024.
All right, does anyone have any questions on this item? No? All right, would someone like to do a motion?
I will move the item.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. The motion passes. Moving on to 6C, public hearing on delinquent water user charges. I declare the public hearing on delinquent user water charges now open at 5:12 PM. May we have the secretary's report, please?
Yes, at this time, I would like to report that the district received 0 written protests, objections, or comments related to the delinquent water user charges.
Thank you. May we have the attorney's report, Mr. Kennedy?
Thank you, Madam President. Notice of the public hearing was published in the Mountaineer Progress on June 22nd, June 29th, and July 6th, 2023. Additionally, notice of public hearing was posted in the district office and on the district's website beginning on June 22nd, 2023. Notice of delinquency and hearing were also mailed to delinquent users on June 20, 2023. Copies of the report were made available in the district office for public review. Therefore, the district has complied with all of the legal requirements necessary for this hearing within the time and manner specified in the government code.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. May we have the staff report, please?
Yes, the delinquent water user charges report was filed with the Secretary on July 7th, 2023, and details 829 customer accounts, accounting to a total of $144,609.43. The delinquent water user charges report reflects each affected parcel of real property and the total amount of charges and delinquencies for each affected parcel as of June 30th, 2023. The final list will be submitted to the County of San Bernardino for collection no later than August 10th, 2023, and will be updated as necessary until submittal.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. At this time, we will open the public hearing up for public comment.
Hey,
Yeah.
hold on.
No problem.
Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I didn't know if I unmuted it. Are we considered in that delinquent being that we pay our bill, our water bill every month, but there's an outside dispute going on within that? Is that part of this discussion?
Yes, and I think I'm going to turn this one over to Steve Kennedy, the attorney.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Bartz. With respect to this particular account, there has been discussions, settlement discussions. I don't wish to get any further on this because there may be a hearing that if the settlement agreement is not entered into, there may ultimately be a hearing on that. That would be before the board, and at that point in time, there would be evidence presented, and I certainly do not want to taint that process in any way. The customer is entitled to due process, and so getting into the merits of that particular issue is not appropriate at this time. However, there is settlement discussions that are ongoing, and to the extent that settlement is reached, then the parties would hopefully act in accordance with that settlement agreement. I will say that this action contemplates that there would be a filing with the county by August 10th. So there's sufficient time for settlement to be finalized on this, and then that would hopefully resolve any issues that are outstanding.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that
Then I
answer
think
your
we're
question?
good.
Okay.
I think so. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for
You're
verifying
welcome.
that.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, with nothing else, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, hearing closed at 5:16 PM. Thank you. Do you want to go ahead and do 6D first and then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just finish that up.
Gotcha. All right. 6D, discussion and possible adoption of Resolution 2023-19. This is my favorite. Confirming or modifying and then confirming the report of delinquent water user charges for the purpose of collecting said charges on the San Bernardino County tax roll. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. Staff's recommendation is that the board adopt resolution number 2023-19, and I'll save the reading of the tongue twister.
All right. Any questions or comments on this item? All right. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to move the item.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. The motion passes. All right. We are going to jump to 6G, update on the proposed Civic Center and Phelan Park expansion.
Thank you, Madam President. We have Sophie Steno here tonight from Steno Design Studio, and she is here to give the board an update on the where we're at in the process with this project. You may need to turn the microphone on.
I have a pretty loud voice, but is that okay?
Perfect.
Good evening, Madam President. Good evening, board members and staff. It's my pleasure to come to you this evening and share some very good news with you. We finally worked out the particular details needed to finally get the revision to the original site plan approved for the 5 acres so that we can move forward, get our planning conditions of approval from the county, and push towards permitting of the Civic Center building. On top of that, we'll work with staff diligently and consultants being used to develop the RFQ and hope to bring that to the board for approval to issue in the early part of August of this year. With regard to the 14-acre park site, the site plan for that project has been accepted by the county, so have all of the reports. The reports have been internally reviewed by county staff, and the initial CEQA document prepared by the consultant is being reviewed and approved by the county to be circulated to the state level for public viewing and commenting. So we're making great strides finally. I thank you very much for your patience, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
So the sequel's going to the clearinghouse?
For the 14-acre park site, yes. And then we should expect to get our administrative approval letter for the revision to the original 5-acre site this week. Sorry I couldn't bring it to you today, but they're making that final letter of approval. We should have it, you should see it by the end of the week.
Awesome. Okay. Questions?
How about the building plans? How close are they to being finalized and signed off by the county?
Those are signed off by the county.
Those are done, okay.
Yes. Yes, we'd have to, so the way the county works is you can't pull the building permit for the structure until all of your civil engineering plans are approved. And that's what we're going to that's what we are working on to get final approval. They're all preliminarily approved, but because, as you know, we're borrowing a lot of dirt from the 14-acre site, there have to be the final details ironed out so we can get final approval of the grading plan and the hydrology and all the other civil plans. Once the county releases their approval of those, then the district is free to pull all the permits.
And those were the plans with the beams instead of the posts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you very much
Thank
for your
you so
patience
much.
again.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we are going back to 6E, discussion and possible action regarding purchase and installation of well number 15, production pump equipment and variable frequency drive. Mr. Bartz.
Thank you. Sean is going to present this item.
Thank you, Mr. Bartz. The district contracted in May of 2022 with Southwest Pump and Drilling to drill well 15 located on Azalea Road. They commenced work on November 29th of 2022, drilling to a depth of 1,040 feet. Test pumping indicated that the well is capable of producing up to 750 gallons per minute for periods up to about 12 hours. And then it's required to reduce that pumping to a 675 gallons for the strata to recover. This unique flow characteristic found within well 15 is best equipped with electrical instrumentation capable of variable frequencies, allowing operations staff to modulate the flow based on demand of the distribution system. The quotes received from General Pump, with whom the district currently has an existing pump and maintenance contract, include the variable frequency drive and the motor control center to power this equipment. Variable frequency drives eliminate and simplify many of the features found in traditional motor setups and control centers, including pressures, flows, timers, relays. This is a simpler and more reliable production. The budgeted amount for fiscal year 2022-2023 for well 15 was $1.55 million. To equip the pump and motor is $219,000, and the variable frequency drive and associated components comes to $262,000 for a total of $481,818.36. It's staff's recommendation for the board to approve the purchase and installation of well 15's production pump and equipment of the variable frequency drive and electrical cabinets and motor control centers. I know that's a lot of in there. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, start with you.
No questions from me.
All right, Mark?
Yeah, I just have a question for Steve. Since this is not a unique, like an expert testimony or unique situation where you have a consultant, is this appropriate to not to go out to bid? Staff, I'm sure, has some points that they'd like to make, timings and other things, but is it acceptable that it goes to a sole source?
Yeah, with respect to this particular purchase, I think so. I think staff, the staff report reflects that this is pursuant to an existing contract that was awarded by the board in an open session to General Pump. And so this action would be pursuant to that contract. And so the purchase would not be one that would be done directly. My understanding is that it would not be done directly by the district, but would be through General Pump under an existing contract that did go through the sort of the open vetting process that resulted in the initial award that was approved by the board. So this is not really a purchasing policy issue as some of the other ones are. This is more a process that is consistent with your existing contract with General Pump. I think staff is giving the board more or less the courtesy of being able to approve this pursuant to that contract, but it's not really an action that would be under the district's purchasing policy. So I have no problem with this process.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sure.
Deborah? Questions? All right, so if no further questions, does someone have a motion?
I'll move for the item.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion passes. All right, moving on to 6F, update on solid waste program implementation. Ms. Sevi?
Yep, just a quick presentation here. As of today, we've received 724 applications. It's trending up towards CR&R. 58% are identifying as CR&R customers and 42 are self-haulers. In our July bill, we're sending out a reminder flyer along with the application again. We're continuing on with our social media campaign. Tomorrow, I'll have these food waste pails back in stock in the office, so if anybody's interested in those, you can come on in, complete a quick form. get one. And then I met with Michelle Hannon, our master gardener who operates our community garden. She met with her experts and they recommended a composter for us to look into procuring. And then she's recommending that we kind of come up with some type of punch card type program to earn it. So you have to attend so many garden classes and also attend our compost workshop. So that way we know it's going to people who really want this rather than just getting something for free. And so that's it. We're meeting with CRNR tomorrow. We meet weekly with them to discuss our hiccups with rollout. There are many. And but all in all, considering it's going fairly smoothly, knock on wood.
Good. Good. I have seen a lot of positive feedback on social media, so that is very good.
Yes, the rate freeze and the fact that we're not charging to self-haul have been very well received.
Thank you very much. Anything? No? Okay.
Just a major thank you for handling all this. You did great.
All right, so we will move on to agenda item 7, committee reports and comments. Engineering,
Meets next on Wednesday.
finance,
We don't meet until July, I believe. I think.
I'm sorry, I don't have
I'm
my
sorry,
schedule
not
with me.
July, September.
Yeah, September.
This is July. September, sorry.
all right, legislative,
We meet in, actually, you chair that one.
Greg,
Yeah.
Greg chairs that
Oh,
one.
chair,
Yeah.
Greg chairs that one, okay. Confusion, okay. No, he's not here, but we won't meet until September, I think it
Yeah.
is? Yeah.
all right. Park and Rec, we haven't met since last time either, and waste and recycling.
And we meet next week.
Okay. All right, so item number 8, staff and general managers report. Mr. Bartz?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I'll have a fairly short report tonight. We've been working with the code enforcement, Fish and Wildlife, and anybody else who will listen about the condition of the water basin out here in the wells that have been kind of abandoned due to the grows moving out of the area. We believe there's some fairly serious problems. We've talked about the permitting issues with the county. And so we've started making the rounds with the Board of Supervisors. Their staff wasn't really helpful early on. They kind of continue doing what they've been doing in the past and not giving the proper attention to CEQA or anything like this. But there are several wells in the area that we're aware of that are just wide open down to the aquifer, and we are definitely strongly bringing that to their attention that we think there could be some liability should something happen with one of those wells, and also the cleanup of these sites. I believe a lot of these sites are out there which are, 10, 20 acres, some are smaller, and there's just plastic debris and trash and everything left out there. A lot of those sites would not be there had the county not permitted these wells, we think improperly. So we're giving a big push on that. I know Kathy Hoffman is working with Mojave Water Agency trying to get some action on their end. And at this point, there's not a lot of action. They're kind of dragging their feet. So we're kind of leading the charge from our end to see if we can get some of these remediated before it becomes an issue.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. So we will move on to number 9, director's reports. Deborah?
I have nothing to report.
All right. Mark?
I have nothing to add.
Nothing to report also.
Well, we're full of information. I have nothing to report either. So we will move on to 10, correspondence and information. Ms. Sevi?
Yes, ASB CSD board has an open position, so if you're a director that's interested, you just need to email the secretary a letter of interest. There's no board action required at this time. And then we have our billing inserts, which included our
Can I comment on that really
Yes.
quick? At the last Board of Directors meeting for the ASB CSD, they changed the bylaws that stated that only one director from an agency can be seated on that board.
Okay, good to know. All right, so if you want to do this, you need to wait. And then we have our application for solid waste in there. We have our summer activities in there and all sorts of information. So that is it.
All right, thank you. Sorry, that was just a change last week. All right, number 11, review of action items. Were there any prior meeting action items?
Yes, I have the well level charts. I meant to print them and bring them out. I'll email them to you and can print out a copy if you'd like one. And then also, I know Sean is in the process of researching the fuel station capacity upgrade. And so that'll come to a later meeting.
Okay, thank you. And were there any current meeting action items?
None.
Okay, so then we will set the agenda for the next meeting, July 26th. Do any members have anything they would like to add? No? All right. So with that, we will adjourn at 5:31 p.m. Thank you.